Now, I want to turn to the investigation. I am here to tell you that I've been looking at, reporting on, and even investigating in many cases myself that have led to the solving of cold cases. I believe that the FBI and the Utah State Police have the right guy, at least the one who pulled the trigger. My big question is, who else was involved in this? Are there other groups? Now, conspiracy theories are everywhere. You don't have to go very far to find them. I'm not going to go through all of those. But what I will tell you is I think there are more people involved in this, whether it was from a funding perspective, from a motivation perspective, from a perspective that maybe someone could have stopped this from happening because they knew about it. Maybe it was from a training perspective. The FBI is looking into this. This is Jeff Gray, the Utah Attorney General.
Is it possible, sir, in your view, based on this being an ongoing investigation, that more charges could be possible?
It's certainly possible. I mean, they're following all leads that they have. I'm not privy to all their investigation, but they're continuing to do that. And so if those leads take them to other individuals that may have been involved, then certainly, yes, we would file charges.
All right. So we know from Kash Patel's testimony there are over 20 people that they are looking at. In fact, he said there are considerable more. This all stems from the Discord chat. That's that social media app where they talk. They think it's private. It's not always. It also could be other groups surrounding the Salt Lake City area and beyond. Now, are there ties to Antifa? Maybe. This is the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche.
Well, whenever you identify an entity as a terrorist organization or a terrorist group, there's a certain amount of weight and power that carries within law enforcement, whether it's federal law enforcement or state and local law enforcement. And so, yes, of course, by the President of the United States designating an organization as a terrorist organization, as a terrorist group or a terrorist organization, that has a lot of power and it has a lot of weight. And it's something President Trump takes very seriously.
All right, so looking at ties to Antifa, they are also looking at possible ties, and this is from the FBI, to a group in Salt Lake City dubbed the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. They openly advocate for violence to get their way. Here is their founder.
The LGBTQ movement started with Stonewall riots. I wouldn't even be able to be a student at this school if it wasn't for a violent riot that took place within a span of 3 days. So I absolutely agree that sometimes violent protests and really riots and those kinds of loud rebellions must take place for tangible change.
Violence, riots, for tangible change. Does assassinations fall into that mix? Someone needs to ask her. This is a flyer from an event that they were going to hold, a lecture, The Queer Resistance by the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. Now there are questions about the funding of this group and where it's coming from. There's also a bizarre trip to Cuba where allegedly they got all kinds of training. This is the founder again.
I think this trip of ours was so incredibly informative and educational. And I think what is incredible is that these brigades have been hosted for decades, right? They've been hosted since the 20th century. And it's really to ensure that U.S. activists are building this kind of solidarity with the Cuban people, and essentially we're breaking that propaganda, breaking that barrier of information that the U.S. is trying to hide from us about just how successful the revolution is.
Just how successful the revolution is. This is the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. Apparently they have scrubbed their online presence after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and that woman you saw there is a self-avowed socialist, and she calls herself not liberal, but a leftist. Well, I want to bring in someone now who has been investigating these types of groups for as long as I can remember. He does an awful good job of doing it. The executive director of the research at the Government Accountability Institute. He's best-selling author. Seamus Bruner is with us. Seamus, it's great to have you on the program.
Yeah. Hey, Grant, it's great to be with you. This is a tough topic. I think a lot of Americans are coming to terms with not just the tragic, brutal death that we witnessed basically live of a hero, Charlie Kirk. We're also coming to terms with the fact that people on the left mostly, I mean, a YouGov poll found that 1 in 4, 25% of people who identify as very liberal support some form of violence against their opponents. Conservatives, very conservative people, just 3%, which is still too many, but it's night and day different. And we're seeing all throughout our country just the vandalisms of the vigils and the memorials to Charlie Kirk. One just down the road in Pensacola, Florida. They say the only kind of good Nazi is a dead Nazi, and they vandalized the picture of Charlie Kirk, these Antifa people. They took pictures of themselves doing it with all sorts of gore and horrible stuff. So they're all around us. They're teachers. They're people in your community, neighbors. It's a scary time. Getting to this armed Queers of Salt Lake City. You saw the leader there, Ermaya Fanayan. She's a Iranian-born activist, trans activist, so male to female. And he, I should say, traveled down to Cuba to receive revolutionary Marxist training. They're not shy about saying that revolution is their goal. They kind of say it's for self-defense, all of this weapons training and revolution training. But a revolution isn't self-defense. You're trying to overthrow a system. And so we've screen grabbed and captured all of the substacks of armed queers. It's all been scrubbed, as you mentioned. But we went to it last week and through the weekend, even before they had been named as potential investigation targets of the FBI. And the stuff that we found is truly shocking stuff. They want to overthrow the American system. This is why they go down to Cuba to train with the Marxist revolutionaries there. And even more shocking is this Neville Roy Singham, who is behind the anti-ICE riots, behind all kinds of other chaos and BLM type events, the October 7th riots, pro-Hamas riots in New York. Neville Roy Singham is a CCP aligned operative, billionaire guy, very wealthy, funding all of this chaos.
Seamus, is there any connection to the shooter, this Tyler Robinson, between the armed queers of Salt Lake City or the other man you just mentioned? Or is it just that the FBI is investigating this group?
There's no connection that anybody knows of at this time. It's only been reported that they're under investigation. So they may be totally innocent. Here's the problem. There's still an organization that, whether it's part of the Kirk assassination investigation or some other investigation, they need to be exposed and possibly charged with all kinds of crimes. I mean, Representative Anapolina Luna and Chairman James Comer of the Oversight Committee have just signed a letter to Treasury to freeze Neville Roy Singham's assets, to charge him, Judge Janine Pirro, U.S. attorney, I should say, in D.C., is looking at FARA charges against him. And so collaborating with a guy who's spreading this kind of chaos, even if it's not connected to the Kirk assassination, this is a very, very dangerous group. Everything they say points to overthrowing the United States. And I'm pro Second Amendment, so I don't think you should take guns of people who have not committed crimes, but they need to be investigated.
Yeah, they sure do. I'm grateful to your office and your organization for shedding some light on this. I had never heard of them until you tipped me off to these folks. Seamus Bruner, thank you for coming on as always.
Thanks, Grant.